Hi, it's Debbie Williams here, and today I want to talk about if you have a friend, a family member, or somebody that you fear wants to commit suicide. I want to share some things that you can do that may prevent that from happening. Now, I'm a hypnotherapist, and at 19 I actually decided I'd had enough. I was filled up with despair. My dad was dying of cancer, my mum hated me, and I thought, I've just had enough. I want off this planet. And obviously you can see I failed at that. So sometimes it's good to be a failure at certain things. And if it's okay with you, I'd like to share 3 things that can help somebody perhaps change their life and turn their life around. And I'm going to talk about a couple of people that I've worked with that this has happened for them. Now, the 3 things I want to talk about is 1, our brain, 2, what we need, and 3, to offer some free help. Now, with our brain, we've been given a brain, but nobody's given us an owner's manual, and sometimes it's not user-friendly. So how would you like to find some keys to work this brain of yours? I speak about in some of my other videos about NLP, so I'm not really going to elaborate on that today, but what I am going to share with you is how we run our mind. So, for example, NLP looks at what we do as a strategy. So to do depression well, we have to do certain things of what we're seeing inside our mind's eye, what we're saying to ourselves will generate our feelings. And what I mean by that, to do depression well, you have to have some sort of a black cloud here. Because if you didn't have that black cloud, you might have a bright future, and that would just mess up the depression strategy. We have to say to ourselves in a moany voice, oh, there's no point to anything. I can't actually do it, but you get the gist. It's got to be a really sort of low energy voice that drains you and anybody else in contact with you. And the physiology is kind of down, and talking to yourself over and over like that and not having anything to look forward to can keep you locked in that state. And then when you add it with perhaps hormones of a teenager, of not knowing where they are in life, it can take people over the edge, because it's quite a high suicide rate in especially young men wanting to sort of commit suicide because they don't see the point of it all. And the second thing that we need is goals. We need to have something to look forward to. We say in our language, oh, they had a bright future, and we need to create that for ourselves. It says even in the Bible, you know, people without vision perish. So there's a element of truth in that. So by setting goals, even if they seem outlandish goals, say for example you've always had a dream that you wanted to be a famous footballer, even if you focus on that and you keep that dream precious to yourself, but you think, oh, I'm perhaps not good enough, maybe you are, you may be lying to yourself. But if you set that as a goal with a little caveat at the end, this or something even better, and then ask, if I was a champion football player, what's the cost of that? You know, I'd have to be practicing so many times a week and pay the cost. You know, get yourself to practice and get better at it. And you may find that you might not actually get to be a professional footballer, but you will find your niche in something that you love. Perhaps teaching youngsters how to kick a ball and how to enjoy the basics of the game. So there's always stuff that we can do. But one thing you need to ask yourself is, well, what do I love to do, or what would I love to do? I remember a client sat in front of me, being sent by her father. She was locked in bulimia and drinking, and there was just like there was no light on. And I was thinking, oh God, not sure I'm going to deal with this one. And when I first became a hypnotherapist, I wasn't that confident in my skills, but I thought, well, okay, God, Creator, show me the way, because I don't know how to help. And I've always been open to that, of wanting to do a good job, but being open to guidance and support. And from that, I've had the intuition to be able to think, oh, well, suggest this. And with this particular lady, she was so down on herself, and I said, okay, well, what if, you know, I was to go bing with a magic wand and this problem was gone, what would you love to do? And she said, well, I want to go back to university and I want to do this, whatever. And all of a sudden she became animated because she was talking about her dreams. And I thought, gotcha. And that's where we started focusing on her dreams. and then sorting out the problems as well along the way, so that she had something to look forward to. Another client of mine came to me because his dad brought him. He hadn't slept for days. His best friend had been killed in a car crash, and he was in a place of despair, of thinking, well, what's the point? I don't know where I'm going with my life. And so I was able to help him. One of the first things I did with hypnosis was get him to actually be able to sleep at night, because he hadn't slept. And if you don't sleep, it puts you in this sort of hypnagogic state of half awake, half asleep, and reality can be quite distorted, and you feel almost like you're on drugs because you lack of sleep. And when I worked with this chap, I said to him, what are your dreams? And he wanted to be a top chef. And I just had an email off his dad the other day saying that he just landed this job in Simpson's restaurant in Birmingham, which is a Michelin star restaurant, and he did it off his own merits, no college education or anything like that, because I don't believe you need to have that. You just have to have the right attitude. And I planted suggestions in his mind of what he could do. And what he did on his week off from where he worked, he volunteered to work at this restaurant for absolutely nothing. And within a week, they offered him a job. They also offered his girlfriend a job because she could drive to get him there. And he's now moving into a lovely apartment close to the restaurant. And I've put this testimonial up, or I will do, on my website, so you're welcome to read it. And his father's name's there and everything. So he bounced back from a pretty desolate place. And how we did that was setting goals and working towards those, but also saying this or something even better. And if you think about what do you love to do, and your voice in your head says, oh, but well, why would they employ me, or why would they give me that work above anybody else? Then one thing you need to do is stand out. And as I said to Daniel, I planted suggestions of ways that you could do that, and obviously volunteering to work for free is going to make you stand out above the crowd. And I shared with him how I was able to connect with George, who was quite big sort of in the 80s, early 90s with the clothes shop Next. And I wanted to connect with him because I had a clothes shop and businesses. And so I sent him a plank of wood through the post. Not a big plank, just a sort of a glorified stick with a poem on it. And of course, when it landed in the office with this poem that rhymed, everybody in the office knew about me, and I made an impact. And so if you think about it, if there's something you love to do, how could you stand out from the crowds to get into where you want to go? And when you think about it, you are skilled. Even the London riots, I don't think people realised how skilled those kids were, because they were able to get thousands of people to an event, all with the promise of a free pair of trainers. Now, anybody who's got a business and wants help with marketing would see value in that, because they want to market their business. They want to get thousands of people to come, and you have skills, but you don't realise it. And sometimes you think that, oh, I'm not really good enough. Yet, if I was to say to you, you're already worth $1 million, what do I mean by that? If I said to you, I've got a millionaire friend who's going blind and he would give you £1 million for your eyes, would you sell them to him? You wouldn't, would you? So you're already valuing yourself as £1 million at least. And the third thing I want to talk about is offering some free help to you. Now, if you click the link at the bottom here, you'll get my free hypnosis recording, Stop Worrying, Create a Wonderful Life. And it's a hypnosis recording where you dump all your worries into this like washing machine, and it spins up and looks for new solutions. But then it can be transformed into a quantum learning machine. So you put in your challenges in there, or your ideas, so it helps progress those. It was the recording that I did and I listened to over and over, and it gave me the inspiration to record another 30 recordings, because I listened to this over and over, and it makes it step by step easy to achieve your goals. See, everyone needs a mentor. If we look at sports people, they always have a coach, an ongoing coaching. If we look at David Beckham, he saw what he wants and he worked hard at it, and he's had people coaching him. And even when he's been in the media, if you notice how differently he speaks now to what he did a few years ago, he had this squeaky voice because he spoke from here. And obviously everybody laughed at him because he did sound a bit strange. And he's had coaching now. Take that voice from here to here to here, to talk all the way from the bottom here to project his voice. So he's had coaching in that area because he's took any feedback, instead of criticism, he's thought, how can I improve myself, and have almost like a sod you sort of attitude. I'll prove you wrong, which is a great motivational force. So if you click the link, you'll get my free hypnosis recording, which will help lift all the crap out, will help program your mind to look for good things. And the second thing you'll get signed on to my monthly coaching email, which normally we set our goals once a year and then never look at them again, if you set them at all. This, you get an email once a month saying, okay, what's gone well this last month, what's gone to plan, what hasn't, and you get to write down what you've done. And then secondly, you get to plan what do you want to do this next month. So I make you accountable 12 times a year. And this is what Daniel did of doing these exercises. He wanted to move on. He wanted to do well with his life. And so he answered these, and look at where he's landed him. Another client of mine, his friend died in his arms, and whilst he wasn't suicidal, he was suffering from like post-traumatic stress symptoms. So again, if you've got any friends who are going through that, please refer them to my channel, because there's lots of help there, and the hypnosis CD will help sort out things to lift some of the stress. Obviously, you know, the first port of call is your doctor. If you have somebody that you think could help, please forward this. And what I would suggest that you say to them is, look, I watched this, I thought it was interesting, but I don't think you'll watch it, because I just don't think you'll watch it. I don't know why, but I was going to send it to you anyway. And that will get their curiosity, because if you tell people not to do something, more times than not, they'll do the opposite. Anyway, great talking to you today. So click on the link, get your free recording, and get signed up to my online coaching right now. Bye now.